Welcome to the Sunday Fun Day podcast. Your hangover never sounded so good. I'm your host, Akil Patterson, and get ready to take a journey with me today as we enter the new era of the SFD podcast, a podcast for you, by you, built by you, and with all the trimmings and fixings that we ever needed, because it's not about how many people are in the room. It's about how many of you we're able to reach. And so I'm taking over the soul solely for now until I find permanent guest hosts. We are still going to have episodes where we have conversations with you, the audience. We're going to still have people come in and sit down. But this is a new era in the Sunday Fun Day podcast. Your hangover never sounded so good. And now let's begin our show. I'm just kidding. Welcome to the Sunday Fun Day podcast. Your hangover never sounded so good. We're going to start with our regular music because that's who we are. But this is a new era in the SFD podcast, really. We are going to be talking about issues. We're going to be talking politics. We're going to be talking about the things I actually know about. We are going to be having fun. We are going to have conversations. I'm going to have guest hosts. I'm going to have people come in and out of the studio. But ultimately, it's you and me having a conversation again. And on this week, we're going to start with a little bit of, don't do that, JG. This is the Sunday Fun Day podcast. Your hangover never sounded so good. So when I say don't do that, JG, I'm talking about Josh Giddey. If you are not familiar with Josh Giddey, get ready for a nice little story. So several months ago, a young woman posted on Snapchat for all of her friends to see a photo in her and another man. This man happened to be Josh Giddey. Josh Giddey is currently a basketball player with the Oklahoma Thunder, and the Thunder rolled. So Josh Giddey and this young lady, she posts something on her social media, and she's like, "Oh my God, I just have sex with Josh Giddey." What? The young lady is 16. Now, Josh is 21. She's 16. Now, this isn't like it's like a 20-year age gap, but at the same time, Josh is 21. She is 16. He put himself in a very vulnerable position. Josh, when that young woman is 18, I don't think the world cares about the age difference because she is legally an adult. But when you're 16, you are not. So, Josh, you messed up. Number two, you put it on social media. Josh, you messed up. Number three, Josh, she's 16. Josh, you messed up. Josh, you just got lucky because you know what? The police are not pressing charges against you. Josh, you still messed up. Because you didn't get caught this time doesn't mean that it was right. Josh, you still messed up. You're not a hero. You're not safe. This means that you just didn't get caught this time. And so, Josh, don't be R. Kelly. Do not spend the next 15 years of your life hanging around high schools looking for the youngest, sweetest thing you can. Unless you're a basketball coach and you are coaching the gender you're not. Anyway, you're just coaching. Please just be a coach. Like, if that's what you did, but you weren't coaching. You're 21. She's 16. Wait till she's in college. Josh, you make $6 million a year. You just signed a $22 million deal. $22 million. Take the money. Enjoy your life. But please, sir, do not bring a 16-year-old girl into this. Just chill. Josh, we love you. Not really, but don't do that again. Please. You got off lucky. Oh, and I forgot to tell everybody, here's how you got off lucky. Number one, the young lady's family decided not to be involved in this situation at all. At all. Didn't want nothing to do with it. Take it out. So that's number one. Number two, Josh is 21, and in Oklahoma, the age is 16 of consent. Fathers, hide your children. Mothers, hide your children. 16 is the age of consent in Oklahoma. Remember that guy who stood up in the congressional hearing and tried to fight the Teamster? That guy, in his state, they allow 16-year-olds to make decisions. Listen, you can't buy a cigarette. You can't. You can't buy a cigarette at 16. Why are we allowing other decisions like this? It's ridiculous. The same people in Oklahoma talk about abortion and all that stuff. You let a 16-year-old get hook up, make this. Man, no wonder this world's crazy. Please, let's keep kids for as long as we can. Let's stop making them adults. Josh Giddey, you still up, all right? So please don't do that. Please, please, please don't ever do this again. And I pray for your soul. I pray for it as much as I can. Well, anyway. Outside of Josh Giddey, more news to think about as we go on our new version of the SFD, the Sunday Funday podcast, The Hangover. Never sounded so good. Looking at the most recent news out of New Hampshire. So New Hampshire, as you may know or may not know, New Hampshire is the site where many of the presidential activities are going on right now between New Hampshire and South Carolina. Iowa caucus just finished. Donald Trump won that. He only won with about 53,000 votes, so remember that. More people voted against him than for him, but Donald Trump did win the Iowa caucus, where they were placing ballots in a paper bag. A paper bag. Not even like a lockbox, not even like a secure box. I mean, like this is a secure box, kinda, you know? Instead, they used a paper bag. A paper bag. Election integrity? I think not. So, anyway, Donald Trump wins the Iowa caucus, and New Hampshire is going strong. Chris Christie had dropped out already. So basically, it's a three-person race between Ron DeSantis, Nikki Haley, and Donald Trump. Well, guess what? Nikki Haley, several months ago, decided to say that when she was asked, what was the cause of the Civil War? And she said, disagreement between the states. And the guy goes, that's it? And then she listed all this other stuff. And then somebody says, well, why'd she leave out this, I don't know, slavery? Slavery. I mean, look, I'm not going above and beyond. What were some of the major contributors to the war? States' rights, independence, freedom. Yeah, that's it. That's all I can think about. I don't know, slavery? Like, come on now. I mean, literally, the Emancipation Proclamation, slaves were free, shot in the back of the head, Lincoln. The Confederacy were separationists. They didn't want to be part of the Union. No? Not ringing a bell? Okay. Well, Nikki Haley, she did say that. And then now recently, she doubled down on her words, I guess, if you would. She basically said that to her, all these other things were contributing to the Civil War. And then when you ask her, was this nation founded on racist practices? And I will say that I don't know if they were racist, but they're definitely bigotry. I think there was a lot of bigotry at that table because, number one, it was all land-owning white males. There's nobody else at the table. And again, I give our founders a lot of credit. They're very smart individuals, at least most of them were. Some were also just degenerate liars and gamblers. Thank God we had Benjamin Franklin, who was a sex addict. Oh, what about Thomas Jefferson? No, Thomas Jefferson was whoring around on his wife and cheated on her multiple times. You know, John Hancock wasn't a great guy either. Well, one of them was perfect. One of them was Jesus. No, Jesus was. Yes, none of them were perfect. They were men. They were just plain, pasty, angry men. And they all just happened to be white and landowners. So slavery clearly was a big contributing factor in this nation's adoption. And then as we've grown out of that era, we still, for some reason, are in it. I'm not saying we've got to live in the past, but can we at least have a genuine conversation and say that slavery isn't the only thing that people worried about? Can we say that it was an important factor? Yes. What's so hard about admitting we were wrong? Guess what, Nikki? If you admit that you're wrong, you can make amends later. It is literally what being human is about. I hate no human on this earth. A lot of people say, you hate Donald Trump. I don't hate anybody. I don't know him to hate him. See, I think that's where people get messed up. I am still a black man. I got to know you to hate you. Otherwise, I ain't worried about you. I ain't worried about none of it. Go live your life. And just admit when you're wrong. It costs you nothing. And you know what? If we had a little bit more forgiveness in the world, maybe we'd actually get somewhere. Yes, if we had more forgiveness. Think about that. Forgive one another. All right. So moving on to our next thing. Nikki Haley, please just admit that some of the practices of this country were founded on racism, and we'll be all right. All righty. Other news this week, the city of Irvine, California, is building a park using an old military base. They're going to take this old military base and they're going to turn it into a park. San Francisco did that many years ago. New York, this area is going to be bigger than Central Park, but just remember Central Park was actually built over some black people's land, so gotta remember that. But anyway, it's cool. You guys can read that up later. But what I'm saying is they're building this wonderful park in Irvine, California, basically taking down an old military base that was closed. Now, I want to say something very cool. Let's think about this, folks. There are rundown, closed down military bases all over this country. If our government took a little bit of effort and a little bit of resources to reopen those installations and protect American citizens right here today, we'd be a little better off because those small towns would still be thriving. They become economic centers. We're spreading out people. And you know, our military is already having a hard time recruiting people. And we need to start standing up for them and for the young people of this country and make sure that you guys are supported. And that means let's reopen those military installations and get people back to work. I am being totally facetious. I'm kidding. Actually, we should turn them into affordable housing units. That's what we really should do. We should take all military bases and turn them into affordable housing units, job camps, like bring back Job Corps programs, really invest in our current infrastructure. Because if you haven't noticed, our infrastructure is old. It is old and it is crumbling. And I think if we invested back in our infrastructure, our roads, our bridges, our highways, and if we actually tax truckers for using them. Hey, guys, I'm sorry. I know you're not going to like it, but truckers, you guys need to be taxed higher. These roads are not meant for all that rig stuff. They're just not. They're not, guys. So hate me, love me, pee on me. Don't pee on me because that would probably stink because I've been in a truck cab before. And you guys fill up a lot of gallon water bottles and them things is yellow. But anyway, shout out to Irvine, California, who's doing it, making things happen on the highest level of building a park. I think, again, we can do better than just a park, but there's a start. There's always a start.